I am Wahida Chilin. I've been with Isilumko for about 4 years. I'm human, in HR, so a talent resourcer. And I've been specializing in the disability division for about 3 years now. So that's kind of my main focus at the moment.
Thank you. Great. I'm Shay Ali. I'm the operations manager for one of our business divisions I head up. And I've been with Isilumko staffing for 12 years, and I've seen it all. So hopefully I can add some value to, the job seekers out there. I think it's very important that the job seekers out there know that you have to present yourself in a certain manner. The way that if we were to contact you, invite you to interview at our offices, the way you address and are dressed and approach us is the way we perceive you to meeting with our clients. So my first tip would be your appearance and your hygiene. That's really standard, and try and take care of that. Second tip would be, don't forget your documents. I think that's the worst thing that a job seeker could do, because recruiters are not mind readers, and that just makes the interview a lot harder. So be prepared. Get your documents in order. A copy of your ID, copy of your CV, any other certificates that would be of value to the person, that showcases what you've done in your career. So documents, very, very important. So tip number 3 would be, you've been invited, the recruiter's taken the time to contact you, set up the interview, you've received all the details either via email or SMS, and so it's the day of your interview, and the one thing that recruiters don't have is a lot of time, and that's why they've set up this interview. So try not to be late. Plan your day ahead, the night before, set your clothes out, plan your trip, check the amount of time it would take to get to the offices. So there's a little balance between getting there too early and late. Just try and be there at least half an hour before the time. Usually at recruitment businesses, there are some documents that you would need to complete, and that you can allow about 15 to 20 minutes to do that, which gives you perfect timing to meet with your consultant. So be there on time. Tip number 4 would be, during the interview, of course, you would already have introduced yourself in a proper manner. Stand up, look the person in the eye, shake the hand, and introduce yourself clearly. So try, during the interview, the recruiter would do their very best to get to know you, and it's always in your best interest to be transparent. So don't feel that if you need to hide certain information. The recruiter's very good at their jobs, and all it's going to do is kind of bite you. So be transparent, be clear, focus on the dates, make sure your CV's aligned in a proper format which showcases or shows exactly where you've been at any given time in your career, and mention positives, and look into your strengths, and be open about your weaknesses. The recruiter's job is to ensure that you are a match to that position, and they have to be transparent with their client. That's a good tip for job seekers, and during the interview, make sure that you're transparent.
Be yourself though, but don't overcomplicate who you are. I think first impressions always last the longest, but when you're going into an interview, ensure that obviously there's a stigma, the way you're dressed. So ensure that how you're dressed reflects the person that you are. Essentially, you want to make an impression. So the best tip is, don't go super formal, go semi-casual. So for ladies, I would definitely recommend makeup. Definitely accessorize not too much. So earrings are fine, headbands are fine. Makeup not too heavy as well. For men, I think generally just like Shay, just smart, clean, shaven. If you're going for the beard look, that's fine. I mean, we like beards. But yeah, generally just, look good for the part, and essentially smell great too. I mean, the interviewer is going to be smelling some things in that room. So, before you interview, I know sometimes you are super nervous, and I know you want to sometimes have that cigarette, but please don't do that, because sometimes what happens is you smoke and the nerves are calm, you get into the room, and that odor actually just fills the room. And it kind of gives, something about you, or says something about you. So just stay away from those bad habits, I would say. And yeah, be yourself. Be the best version of yourself. There we go. Be best version of yourself. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, it's a little something we call the Goldilocks effect,
Yeah.
with the porridges, where it's too hot, too cold, and it's just right. You have to find that balance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And make it work for you individually.
During the interview, the recruiter would focus on your reasons for leaving. And it's not a very good idea to badmouth an employer. And yes, sometimes you may have had a bad experience, but yes, I refer back to being transparent. All you really need to do is just focus on the actual reasons why you've left. And yeah, it doesn't go down well if you start to mention, nitty-gritty things within any organization. And ask questions. If you're not clear, if you don't understand, if there's anything unclear and you don't understand what the job role entails, or the company, or expectations, the recruiter has that knowledge. So whilst in the interview, ask those questions.
Most of the time, since I'm in the industry, so I see a lot of this, but in the interview stage, right, we'll give the formal process. This is what's going to happen after your interview is concluded. Usually what we tell our candidates, very standard, your application will be on our database, and you'll be given a call, or you'll be communicated further feedback if we find a position that's related to your CV. So a lot of the times people, because they're quite desperate, they would say, look, I'm open to anything. And in that sense, you're kind of marketing yourself in a way where, yes, we understand that employment is an issue in South Africa, and there's a lot of people without jobs and sitting at home, but you have to have that confidence as well. So in the interview process, ensure that you understand correctly whether it is that the company is forwarding their processes to you. You kind of need to probe. Also, if the person says, look, there is a position in the pipeline that I'm considering you for, just ensure that, and I know people always get this wrong, but the number one thing is to always keep your phone on. I know sometimes, Eskom and load shedding and all of these things, but keep your phone on. If you can't be contacted on your phone, ensure that the person has your second contact number, your mom's contact number, your granny's contact number, any contact number. So if a job does become available and we say, look, you are the right candidate for it, let me give this person a call, that you are ready, you are prepared, that you have financial means to actually get to an interview. So all of those things you need to take into consideration when you are obviously done with the interview phase. So that's communication, keep your phone on, email working, and of course, always follow up with the interview person. So whether it is that we do give you advice and say, look, at this current moment, we do not have any vacancies that meet your requirements based on your CV, your location, your salary expectations. We will keep you on the database. Sometimes what people do is they'll constantly call you and call you and call you. And what happens is it kind of creates a sort of, I wouldn't say frustration, but just an irritation on the other end. So it's like, we are trying to assist you, but, bear in mind that there is a process, there's certain jobs out there that people are willing to take, because they need employment. But at the end of the day, they end up not putting that on their CV. So it's just all of these things, that small things that people, just emailing someone, or when you're leaving the interview, do I have the contact person number? Do I have the email address of this person? So a lot of the times what happens is my candidates leave Isilumko, right? And a few weeks down the line, they'll end up giving me a call saying, hey Wida, I was trying to get a hold of you, but I couldn't find your email, and I couldn't. And it's very simple, give the person a call into the company, can I speak to this person, learn the name. So a lot of the times people are registered with many other companies, so I understand it's quite difficult to keep these people in mind. But if you are in the job market, you just make that extra reservations and preparations essentially. With that, I'll definitely say it's situational. So you can't paint everyone with the same brush type of thing. But our job is to have intuition. So when the person does walk through our doors, in the first 5 seconds, we can instantly tell what type of person you are. Not by your dislikes, your likes, but what type of energy are you bringing to the table. So a lot of the times our job is to actually, since we are in a human capital, we have to understand how people think, how certain things need to be portrayed, picking up on the non-visual clues type of thing. So when people often engage with us on a level where we make them feel comfortable in the interview, they'll kind of go overboard and, like she mentioned, tend to badmouth the company. So we always offer the advice and say, look, if it is that you've left because either you needed to go to the Eastern Cape or there were some personal issues, rather be upfront on your CV so the person that is interviewing you understands instead of you elaborating. But what happens most of the time is people lie, right? They'll say perhaps there was an end of contract or there was retrenchment, and then when we do the reference, you were dismissed. So simple things like that aren't communicated kind of like puts a nail, like can we actually trust you as a person? To us, physically looking at the CV, it is situational. So we'll probe the person, we'll ask, why is it that you've left, or why is it that you were dismissed? Most of the time, it would be timekeeping, small things that people, tend to just overlook and take advantage of. But those things are very minute. And then, of course, you get some people that Shay,
Yeah.
if you
Well, I think to answer the question
Yeah.
about job hopping, it definitely is situational.
Yeah.
And as an example, you have your graduates who have just completed their tertiary qualification, 3-year degree or diploma, and so they've had their first job as an internship, and it's a 6-month contract or a 3-month contract, and there's a proper reason for leaving. There's a valid 3-month contract. There was no opportunity to extend. It was literally just an internship. The next job may be another contract, and it would be a 6-month contract. So it's really different for graduates who have gained workplace exposure over a period of contracts, 3, 4, or 5. So that wouldn't necessarily be seen as job hopping. But if you're looking at working professionals, and after they've already been through this, gaining exposure within different companies and different industries, to really work on their portfolio. So working professionals more likely would look at where the job hopping exists, where it be 8 months, and the reasons for leaving. There's some sort of consistency that just shows that there's no commitment to an organization. It's very challenging for us to then market that person to a company. We have an obligation to our clients.
Yeah.
That's job hopping could be seen for working professionals. It could be very detrimental to the application.
Or cons, it could be good. It just means that you're someone that is interested in various of things. Either you haven't found your niche, your calling or your career calling. We've actually seen quite a lot of people that because of their personality, they wouldn't be your mundane, oh, let's go to university, let's study, let's get the job that I want. They're more, free-spirited. So from high school, they've been doing part-time jobs, maybe contact center retail. We find contact center is actually one of the biggest, easy way to make money, of course. And from that, it's kind of, because they've been in an environment for so long, we as recruiters, because you have, a strong history within a specific environment, it's quite difficult to actually change. So what happens is you have, 3-4 years of experience in contact center. You now want to move, let's just say, into finance. Becomes very challenging for us personally. How do we market, your CV if there's no experience? So it's definitely situational, like Shay said, and there's definitely cons to it as well. I know companies that are very free flowing, they like people of different backgrounds and diversification, all of those things. They like that you've done retail, contact center, admin, finance, a bit of everything. But I think essentially when you are targeting a specific job, you would need that kind of timeline of, okay, I left this position, a month later I was in another position. So it shows that consistency. So there's two types of people in the world, but either one of them can make it work.